It's Rob!
Tony! And I'm Jeff.
We're in gaming.
And that's you.
Hello gamers and welcome back to the Inn. I'm Rob or Warshack, whichever one you want to call me, and we will be playing some Beast Druid today. Yes, Beast Druid. I've actually had this idea for a while now, and I've tried to build this deck, I believe 1 or 2 months ago, and it just didn't work out because there just wasn't enough Beast Druid cards to make it work right. But now that the League of Explorers has come out, I saw this Raptor card, the 3/2 Raptor, or the 3-drop 3/2 Raptor that summons a 1-drop when it dies, and it's a beast. So I'm like, maybe now is the time to make Beast Druid. And I was right. This deck is very effective, and for the games that I played with it, I've tweaked it quite a bit over the past like 50-ish games, and this is the list I've come to. If you've got any suggestions for it, feel free to leave those in the comment section below. Obviously, we're going to keep Living Roots here. We're not going to keep the Claw or the Dr. Boom. The Living Roots is great. The Ancient of War is not so great, and the Jeweled Scarab is good. As you can see, the curve of the deck is really nice, so most of the time you'll have a 1-drop, 2-drop, and or 3-drop, if not at least a 2-drop, because there are a lot of 2-drops in the deck. And what is even better with this deck that I think kind of definitely takes people off guard, not the fact that it already is a Beast Druid deck, which is like, what the fuck is that? It starts off as an aggro Druid. So you like make your opponent think you're playing aggro Druid. Well, first off, we'll probably play the Jeweled Scarab here, because making the Panther into a 3/2 is okay, I guess, if he doesn't overload one next turn, but it's also good because we don't have a 3-drop for next turn. So now we have a 3-drop for next turn. The Mounted Raptor is a fantastic card, and we'll swing for 2. So like I was saying, it starts off like a aggro Druid, so your opponent's thinking, alright, he's playing Druid, what is it, ramp, mid-range aggro. You play like Living Roots, or you play like the Saber, and they're like, alright, so it's aggro. And then from there, you go into like Druid of the Claw, Druid of the Fang, and the Stranglethorn Tiger, and your opponent's like, what the fuck is going on? And then it just gets, they just don't know how to play against you. So with that, we'll go to the game. So from here, I'm pretty sure we're just going to kill off the 2/2 that can get 1 charge every time he overloads, or plus 1 attack every time he overloads. Totem Golem, so for his 2-drop, it's going to be, I don't think he used coin yet, so he definitely can coin for 3 mana something. It's kind of weird how he attacked into, okay, that's why he attacked. I was going to say, it was weird for him to attack into the Raptor, because the Raptor was just going to have to attack one of his creatures next turn, but he played a Knife Juggler, and obviously he didn't want my Raptor killing his Knife Juggler. So from here, our turn 5 is going to be a Starfall if we can't clear the field, but I'm pretty sure we can clear his field quite easily. Because if we just make this Tiger a charge, we kill off his Knife Juggler, or we kill off his Totem Golem, then his Knife Juggler, and then pass him and kill off his Leper Gnome, we don't really have to use Starfall. And we would have taken a decent amount of damage next turn, because the 3 attack and the double, yeah, it had 2 3 attacks, that's 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we would have at least taken 8 damage next turn. So I believe clearing his field here is good. We only got rid of one of our, we did have to charge in with one of our cards and it died, but we did, effectively take care of all 3 cards on his field, with Knife Juggler being a card that we definitely need to get rid of in a aggro Totem Shaman deck. So from here, I believe we're going to taunt up this guy here, and then from, do we kill the Totem? I don't think so. I don't think a 1/1 Totem is something we need to get rid of. Maybe we should, because I guess if he Flame Tongue Totems it, or Rockbiter weapons, that could be annoying. So I'm thinking we probably should have killed the Totem. So he's going to Abusive Sergeant, okay, and now he's going to Rockbiter. Oh god, we should have killed the fucking Totem, guys. Making bad plays, Warshack 2015, December. Okay, so from here, we're going to definitely True Silver, hit this into here, and then the True Silver in a Druid deck is definitely very interesting, because, did I just call it True Silver? I mean True Heart. It's very why did I say True Silver? It doesn't even look like a True Silver. True Silver is a fucking Paladin card, Rob. Get your deck straight. Anyway, we're just going to call her True Heart, yes. Okay, so Knife Juggler. So we played True Heart in this deck because not only does it give us 2 armor, so it's like having a warrior passive, it also gives us 2 attack. And it seems like this wouldn't be really that effective, but because of how much aggro is on the ladder and the fact that our passive can most likely kill a card every turn, gaining more and more tempo on our side because they're not actually getting rid of cards for it, and it can just be used to passive and not attack because 2 armor it's like having a warrior passive, and that's just fantastic. So we're gonna make this guy a 5/10. We could have summoned the Keeper to kill off the Knife Juggler and passive, but then he still has 2 cards on the field that can attack us directly, which is not good. And then also, we wouldn't have been able to kill anything with our passive, so you'd still have those 2 cards. So I think this is the best kind of wall defense from here. And then next turn, we can actually Savage Combatant, and then with Savage Combatant gives our passive +2, so our attack with our passive will actually have 4 attack. That's insane. That's just like with the combo of using the the True Heart and the Savage Combatant is just, oh my god. You can kill most 4-drops, because most 4-drops now are like 5/4s, and you can kill definitely all 3-drops. So we're going to definitely kill off the Knife Juggler, and then next turn we're going to use our passive to kill off the remaining Wolf. And he still has to get past this Keeper, so. And I call him Keeper, but he's actually an Ancient of War. I don't know why I call him. I always call this guy Keeper of the Grove, when I know Keeper of the Grove is in fact the 4-drop 2/4. He just looks like a Keeper. I mean, look at that guy. He's just like, I'm keeping something, and you're not getting to it. And the Keeper of the Grove is not, he's not really keeping anything. He's like, he's kind of have that picture of like, with arms wide open. Because look at him, he's like all stance and shit. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going on a rant about things that don't really matter. Like this guy's name is Keeper, and this guy's name is not Keeper. Okay, so next turn, I think a swipe. Actually, we don't even need to use swipe. We're definitely going to use our passive to kill off something. Crackle, don't hit for 6, don't hit for 6, don't hit for 6. Hits for 3, that is the best. Okay, lightning bolted. So he wasted 2 of his burn spells to get rid of our taunt card, and he's going to swing face, and then we're going to take 4 more reacts. Doomhammer has that Wind Fury. And he already used a Rock Biter on the totem, so that's fine too. So we're not really worried about a huge burst with the Doomhammer. So we're going to... We can Stranglethorn and Wrath, and we can passive. So I think that's our best play here. And we're going to use our passive to attack into the 2/3, and then I believe we're going to use our Wrath to kill off a 3/3 instead of, you know, if we would have used the Wrath to kill off the 2/3, we would have taken 1 damage unnecessarily. We're going to kill off the totem because we saw what bad things happen when we do not kill off the totems, and we're going to swing for 5. And as you can see, even with going against a rush deck like we did, we didn't even really need Starfire, and that is because we have this passive that allows us to make trades without using our creatures. Then we have a very strong early game, and along with that, it's just huge walls like Druid of the Claw and Druid of the War to stop decks like, you know, Aggro Shaman from getting through. I guess Druid of the War, or Ancient of War, oh man, and boom, this is just so over. We have enough damage to end it anyway, with our passive being able to deal 4 damage. That's a 9 damage swing with our passive and just Savage Combat now, which is 1/3 of someone's health. Yeah, it's awesome. And then we're going to use Swipe. So, what I was saying before with the Ancient of War, running 2 of these is kind of questionable because of how many people are running Iron Beak now. So if you're scared of your Ancient of Wars getting Iron Beaked, and or maybe like someone plays Sylvanas, and because it has 5 attack, they attack into Sylvanas, and then they get a 5/5 with Taunt, you could actually maybe run 2 Ancient of War, or Lores, instead of, 2 Ancient of Lores, and only 1 Ancient of War, if that makes sense. So you're swapping the numbers. Or you could take away the Ancient of War, completely throw in a Lore, and then put in a Defender of Argus, and then your Argus could taunt up your Druid of the Fangs. That's always an option too. And then they're actually waste their Iron Beak on something to take away its taunt, but then the thing next to it should have taunt too. So there's always options if your Ancient of Wars seem to be getting silenced. So you can definitely play around that. So this opening hand, I think we're going to keep the Raptor and get rid of the Combatant, Dr. Boom, and Swipe. We're going against a Druid, so he could be playing Aggro Druid, so Swipe might be something we keep. But I'm not sure. Boom and Savage Combatant, definitely we're going to get rid of those. Yeah. We've been definitely playing a lot of Aggro Druid lately. So, oh man, we got double swipe. Have mercy. Alright, well, didn't expect that. You always expect it, like, keeping the swipe, it's always a weird kind of play because it's not a card you're going to use right away, and it's such a situational spell. But getting 2 of them in our hand is absolutely horrible. So there's the Aspirant, which we will be wrathing for 2. Alright, wrathing for 3. I can't count. We're going to wrath for 2. And it's going to be left at 1 health. And it's going to be pointless. And then his turn, Druid of the Saber. So he is playing Aggro Druid. And I know he's not playing my deck because my deck is not out yet. And, you know, he wouldn't have neck decked it anyway. Because who the hell is going to play, you know, Beast Druid? Unless you're, you know, a follower like you guys are. And you're going to rock the fuck out of Beast Druid. And you're going to mess some people up bad. Okay, so he's going to kill off our field, and this is where Swipe comes in. 2 swipes too many, but 1 just enough. So if we would have kept our Swipe, that would have been a good play to keep it. The second one now is just, I guess, good to have. So it actually didn't work out too bad. The Savage Combatant's in hand. Oh, man. Okay, I was going to say, if you played a card that we could kill a Savage Combatant with 3 less health, that'd be fine. So we're just going to play the Stranglethorn, and I believe end our turn. There's no point to coin out the Savage Combatant yet. So if he plays the Fell Reaver, we're completely okay with that. Piloted Shredder. So it looks like his mid game is actually really strong. Maybe he wasn't playing Aggro Druid. You only say that because of the Saber card. The Saber is most likely only played in those kinds of decks. Alright, so we're going to swipe the Shredder. It's going to pop it, and then we can use our Stranglethorn Tiger to swing into his 4/5. Let's see what comes out of the Shredder, a River Croc. So we actually can't kill the River Croc, so his River Croc is probably going to kill off our... No, I guess he could use his passive to kill off our Stranglethorn Tiger. And we had no other card to play there. I guess we could have played our Jewel... Okay, so he's definitely playing aggro with the Leopard Node. So, unfortunately, Stranglethorn Tiger is going to go down. It's good we didn't play the Jeweled Scarab there. It was also a play to get another 3-drop in there, but it definitely would have died to swipe there. Okay, so from here, we can easily clear his field, but what is the best method to do that? Do we throw the Taunt, or we Savage Combatant, kill off the Croc, and we keep the 3/1 alive? I don't think I think the 3/1 has to die. So we're going to kill off... Yeah, I think no matter what, the 3/1 has to die here. There's no... I mean, I wish I could silence it or keeper it, but we just don't have the mana to do so. So we're at 15 health. We're 1 off short if he has, you know, Force of Nature, Savage Roar, which does equal that 14 damage. So you always definitely have to watch out for that combo when you're playing against Druid. Force of Nature, Savage Roar, 14 damage. Force of Nature, double Savage Roar, I think it's 21 damage? Because it would be 3 cards out, and then you're going to add a 2 to each. So that's 6, 8, 8 to 20, yeah, 22, 23? Somewhere in there. No. We're going to figure this out. I'm like trying to focus on this game, but also think about, you know, the double Savage Roar, which I know. So what's he going to do? He's going to swipe this, going to kill that. It's going to do wield 1 damage to us. Now we're at that 14. We're within the Force of Nature Savage Roar combo range, so we definitely need to play the Taunt next turn, which I don't know why we wouldn't do anyway, but even more so now. So going to make this, gonna play that. See what we can get, what 3-drop we get out of it. Deathlord, going to pick that without a doubt. And now we're going to make this a 4/6. Or we can play Deathlord and play a Darnassus. More cards. This actually has more health than having the 4/6 out. And also forces him to, if he has like a Hex in his hand, or not Hex, but a Silence, to actually silence the 2/8. But he played Boom, which is fine because we've got Big Game Hunter, which we've had since like the beginning of the game. So, what is the best way to get rid of these Boom bots? Because you always want to keep Big Game Hunter until the Boom bots are dealt with, because he is a 4/2, and that's definitely a card that can make favorable trades with other things. So we'll swing our 1/1 into the non-silence Boom bot. Hopefully it doesn't kill our Darnassus. It doesn't, and then now we're going to play the Big Game to kill off the Dr. Boom, and then swing for 1. We're hiding behind a 2/6 Taunt, which can handle 2 of the kind of runner-ins with the Force of Nature, which, by the way, we're going to do that math now. So there's 3 Force of Natures, and an extra Savage Roar adds 2 to each, which is 6, and then 7, 8 because of his passive. That's 8 added to 14, and then we have approximately 22 damage, right? Yes. Okay. Sorry for delaying the math. I was like trying to, you know. So he's going to make that. He's going to use 1 Savage Roar. It's going to take care of that. It's hopefully not going to summon something too large. Druid of the Saber, 2/1 with no ability. I can work with this. And then from here, we're definitely going to taunt the Claw next turn. Do we even use Starfire? Just to clear his field without losing any creep? Oh no, he killed her. Okay. I was surprised he didn't go face there. So we taunt that. And then I think we just kill those 2 without even like having to worry about trading creatures. Because we would have definitely had to lose a creature in that trade, or we can just kill both those creatures with 1 card, and I don't think that Starfire is going to, you know, be that effective anymore, because he only has 3 cards in hand, and Druid is not known for being able to, you know, refill your hand effectively. So he's going to use his probably passive here to do nothing. And then when it's our turn, we're going to throw down our Savage Combatant, swing into this. Well, actually, we could kill off... Yeah, we'll kill it off with these 2 smaller minions and keep the taunt up. Yeah, so we want to keep the taunt up. We don't want the taunt only having 1 health left. That doesn't work for me. And then we'll swing for 3 and end our turn. I think having the Savage Combatant down and it being a 4/6 is fine. Even though we did lose 2 creatures, having the taunt up because of the, again, Force of Nature Savage Roar, we have to play around that. Alright, so that looked like, hey, his name was Cowboys, that's pretty funny. Cowboys 367. All right, so we got one more game with the Beastin Druid to kind of wrap this up. Again, this deck list, I mean, I played a decent amount with this deck. I would say roughly 50 to 60 games, starting from when, you know, the release of the League of Explorers until now. But if you do have any questions, concerns, or ways to improve it, I'm all ears for it. Again, I can't, you know, sit here and play a deck 1,000 times because it would take, you know, months for me to release a deck guide for you. But I'll spend a weekend, play a decent amount with it, see how it does, and kind of refine it. Druid of the Fang, we haven't seen any action with that yet, which is kind of sad, which is the whole point. Not the whole point, but it's a good, like, portion of the Beast deck is to be able to summon large creatures very quickly, especially a 5-drop 7/7. So they use Big Game Hunter on that, and they don't have Big Game Hunter for Dr. Boom or the other one that comes out. There's just, you know, they waste a lot of their CC taking care of creatures that aren't that hard for us to bring out. So we're going against the Paladin here. We've got the Darnassus Aspirant for a 2-drop, into the Raptor for a 3-drop, and then if he doesn't kill the Darnassus Aspirant, we actually have the Savage Combatant as a 4-drop, so we actually have some pretty good early game creatures here. If you can't get rid of them, they're definitely going to cost them. Alright, so I believe we Darnassus Aspirant without a doubt, even, yeah, because if it's a Noble Sack, then Aspirant doesn't die, and even if it reduces its health down to 1, I don't think he has a way to kill it unless he, like, coins, Knife Juggler coins into, like, a Zombie Chow, which why wouldn't he play a Zombie Chow now unless he draws into it? So I don't think we can really get punished by playing a 2/3 here at all. So there's the Knife Juggler. Okie dokie. So we have the 4-drop. We swing face to see if it's Noble Sack. It's not. So do we play the Savage Combatant, or do we charge into the Knife Juggler and see what goes on? I think we see what goes on with this, because if it brings it back with 1 health, then we just use our passive and kill it. So we do passive and kill it. Normally that's like, normally if they're going to play Redemption like that, they'll play like a shielded mini-bot, and that actually, or like a Haunted Creeper, so you don't actually want to kill that, but because it's Knife Juggler and there's no really bad thing that would happen if it come back to life besides us taking 3 damage, which is only 2 because we gain 1 armor anyway with our passive, it's really not that bad. And then from here, I'm pretty sure we're just going to swipe face. I don't see a reason not to swipe face. If he's playing Quartermaster and he hasn't coined yet, that could potentially be disastrous. So I think just swipe face, and then we swing for 2 and end our turn. And then the Darnassus has been sitting on the field a while, so if it sits on the field even another turn, next turn we'll be able to Savage Combatant and passive. If not, throw down double Raptor. And then if he still doesn't kill the Darnassus Aspirant after that, there's the Keeper, or the Keeper of War. I was going to call him. I just called him Keeper again. Fuck! Alright, so we Savage Combatant, passive, kill off the Shredder. See what comes out of the Shredder. Hopefully our Darnassus Aspirant will be able to kill it. Don't have 2 attack. It's invisible, so it doesn't matter. So that's I believe that's gonna definitely kill our Shredder next turn. Or kill our Darnassus Aspirant next turn, is the Giblin. Giblin. Knife Juggler into Muster. Another Muster? Yeah, another Muster, wow. Okay, so that's 1 to face. Hopefully it doesn't ping the... Oh, never mind. I was going to say if it doesn't ping the Darnassus Aspirant, then he would have to swing his weapon into it and his Giblin, or just the Giblin. That would be stupid to swing his weapon into it too. But yeah, well, it was important that 1 ping didn't hit the Aspirant, but it did. Okay, so from here, having another swipe would be pretty nice, but we don't, so we'll have to play around it. We definitely... Do we use our passive to kill the Knife Juggler, and or do we just use Wraith to kill it and summon a creature? I'm pretty sure we use our passive to kill the Knife Juggler, because there's no point to kill a card with a card if we can actually use our passive to kill a card, because it just wastes card advantage. Or do we just play both Raptors and then swing into it with our Savage Combatant? But I don't think we do that either, because then he doesn't have to trade creatures into our Savage Combatant next turn. So I'm pretty sure, like I said, we just kill the Knife Juggler here and swing face for 5, because next turn he's going to have to kill the Savage Combatant anyway. That's just going to be a card he's going to want to get rid of. He's already down to 13 life, and he's probably scared of the Savage Roar Force of Nature, because all he's seen is, you know, aggro Druid cards like the Saber, the Raptor, and, you know, Savage Combatant, which is played in some aggro Druid matchups, or lineups, I should say, or deck lists. So he's going to kill off his creatures. It's kind of weird. Okay, so he went face with the weapon. Normally you'd want to save a creature, and you'd actually go face. No, because he's already that low, so I guess that's fine. So from here, we're going to passive. We're going to pop the Noble Sacrifice. And the reason we didn't play the Ancient of War is because one of those could be bring a card down to 1 HP when it's brought out, which is a secret that would literally destroy it. So it would make it a 5/1, which the weapon could kill it. So let's see if one of those secrets is it. Yep, Repentance is the card that we were playing around by playing the Raptor instead of the Ancient of War. And now we're going to Wrath the 4/3, making it so he only has one card on the field next turn for Competitive Spirit, and we're going to swing for 3. So now not only can a 6/6 not even attack face, he's going to have to clear off my field, and my field is just going to generate more creatures because of their death rattle. And those 1-drops could actually be some, annoying 1-drops, such as I think it's like an Injured Kevadar or something. I don't know what the fuck you say it, but it's a 2/4. Oh god, Tyrion. So we definitely need Keeper of the Grove. We might actually use Ancient of War just to buy us some time. Okay, so we got a Buccaneer. Too bad I'm not equipping weapons, but he probably killed the Buccaneer anyway. Which he did. He should have just gone face. Ancient of Grove. A Keeper of the Grove. A Lamau. I think we win. No, we don't win. Because this is 3, and that'd be 4. It'd put at 3. Yeah, so I think we just give this a taunt and end our turn, and then hopefully we're just pretty much hoping for any sort of damaging ability, like a swipe, and or like a Keeper of the Claw next turn. So he's going to make that, oh god, taking off the Divine Shield. That was pretty important. Oh boy, but at least Keeper of the Grove will get rid of the Blessings of King. But we're actually, if we do not draw a damaging ability next turn, we lose. And it has to be under 5 mana. That, him getting Tyrion off the top was not good. And also Doctor, oh boy. Druid of the Claw, baby! Alright, so, well, sorry that happened. But now we're going to silence the Tyrion, of course, swing in for 3, and then turn that into a charge card for exactly 7 damage. And I mean, the chances of drawing like a swipe or a Druid of the Claw right there were actually pretty high, considering there's 4 of them still left in the deck. So it's actually not that out of the question that we got that. And those are our 3 wins in a row with the Beast Druid deck. Pretty exciting deck to play. It's actually very interesting. I enjoy it a lot because it takes people off guard and they just don't know what to expect. And like I've said in a lot of our other videos, playing a deck that people don't know how to play around or they don't know what's in it is a huge advantage. Like when you go against someone playing, mid-range Druid or Control Warrior or, aggro, whatever, Face Hunter, you know what they're going to play almost every turn. You've got, your idea of the ideal 3-drops they've had, or they have the ideal 2-drops. But when you play a deck that is, it's not on the net, there's nobody really else, nobody else is playing Beast Druid, I'll give you that. There might be after this, but who knows. But for the most part, when you play a deck that, is kind of out of the ordinary, it takes people off guard. They don't know how to play around it or against it. They don't know what's in it, and most of the time they end up making mistakes because they're like, oh, it has to be. They always try to classify the deck, and then they play around it as if it is that deck, but it's not. So it actually can move around what they're trying to avoid because it's not that deck, if that made sense. If I just totally fucking lost most of you, I'm sorry. But it does make sense, I promise. So with all of that said, I will start going over the deck list now, I suppose. For those of you who kind of just wanted to see the deck and how it was played, there you go. For those of you who want to stay and kind of want an explanation behind each card and some combinations with those, we'll get into that now. So, Living Roots... Hold on, let me crack my back and get a sip of water real quick. We've been talking a lot. Okay. So the Living Roots allows this deck to not only get a really early game if you get it on turn 1 to bring out 2 Roots. Like I said, it also makes your opponent think you're playing aggro Druid, which makes them play a particular way early on. So when you actually have a deck that's decent, or I would say pretty efficient at the mid to late game, they kind of use all of their stuff early on, and they don't, most of the time, are exhausted by mid to late game because they thought you were playing aggro, but at the same time you're not. Just seems like it. So the Wrath is definitely a great card. It's found in pretty much in almost all Druid decks, whether you need to do 1 damage to cycle a card, or to draw the card, or to deal 3 damage to deal with, a Knife Juggler or something pretty early on. It's there for you. The Darnassus Aspirant, this deck does not run the Innervates, and it does not run the Wild Growths, and the reason being, it's not trying to push to bring out Ancient of War, Ancient of Lore, or Force of Nature, Savage Roar combo. That is not the point of this deck. The point of this deck is to start off the early game with trying to play a creature every turn, and the creatures you play are relatively strong. I mean, 2 1/1s on turn 1, a 2/3 that needs to pretty much die immediately unless you're going to get a free Wild Growth. A Mounted Raptor, which is a 3/2 that summons another card, so it's like the Piloted Shredder of the 3-drops, and then your 4-drop is a Savage Combatant. All of these cards, they need to be dealt with almost immediately or things just start getting really out of control very quickly because the abilities just keep stacking and the cards just, not only do they not die, they bring out other cards, and then your passive does more damage now, and you're, up a mana crystal, and then all of a sudden your passive does 4 damage when Savage Combatant's out, and you're gaining 2 armor a turn, and then from there you're summoning 5-drop 7/7 giant cobras. It's just, this deck it spirals very quickly, it snowballs very quickly if your opponent cannot get rid of your cards early on. And then from there, Druid of the Saber. Most of the time, you're going to make this into the 3/2 Invisible Tiger. But if you need to deal with a Knife Juggler pretty efficiently, you summon that 2/1 charge. It can, finish off a card if need be. But most of the time, you're making it into that 3/2 that's going to make that value trade with probably a bigger creature. If not, just go face. And it has stealth for that turn, so they can't kill it right away. The Jeweled Scarab is really nice because it allows you to get some of your better 3-drops into the Druid class. So whether you're trying to get, Mark of Nature or, Bronze Beard or another, Mounted Raptor, it allows you to curve into a 3-drop nicely. And if you notice, this deck doesn't have a lot of 3-drops in it already. I mean, there's Mounted Raptor, and then there's Big Game Hunter, and that's it for your 3-drops. That is because the Jeweled Scarab counts as a 2-drop, but leads into a 3-drop. So if you're like, why is there only, 3 3-drops in the deck? It's because Mounted Scarab actually makes that 5 3-drops, which is a pretty good number. And then from there, having, 2, 4, 6 2-drops also helps. So you've got, 6 2-drops, 5 3-drops, and then from there, the deck curves out really nicely. From there, what do we got? We got Swipe, obviously, great Druid spell card. You can't really go around not playing it. Keeper of the Grove, again, found in almost every Druid deck. The Savage Combatant really goes well with the Juskar Trueheart as soon as you bring that out, because when you have that, the passive no longer does 3, it does 4, and you get another armor, which is nice. 1 Starfall. This is very interesting considering it's not a card normally played unless you're running like Mill Druid, and that is because this deck, it does have Swipe for the field clear, but I found that because of how much aggro is going around, being able to do 2 damage to all your opponent's cards is really nice. It's used as like an oh shit kind of card when they, even though this deck does have a, Wrath, Living Roots, Swipe, if they happen to still be able to bring out that big field, you still have Starfall to like lean back on and be like, hey, the game, once Druid normally loses field control, that's it. Druid doesn't really have any comeback spells like Flame Strike or Brawl, which can just completely annihilate your opponent's field. So that's why I kind of put 1 Starfall in here, just to, give you another chance if you happen to lose field early on. A Druid of the Claw, again, just a fantastic Druid card that can transform into a 4/4 with charge, which we learned in the last game, which is really, really nice, and we were able to win because of it. Or most of the time, it's going to turn into a 4/6. Again, when you transform this card, it's a Beast, which can then be comboed off Druid of the Fang, and a 4/6 it is with Taunt. So that's really nice. That's why you don't really need Sludge Belchers, because you have, Druid of the Claw. Druid of the Fang, when you says you have a Beast out, transform it into a 7/7, and that's a pretty big card your opponent's going to have to deal with. It kills off Dr. Boom. It's Dr. Boom in stats for a 5-drop. You don't get Boom Bots, but it's still, you're playing it 2 turns early, and you've got a good amount of beasts in the deck. So, unfortunately, Darnassus Aspirant doesn't count as a beast, but the Druid of the Saber is a beast, the Jeweled Scarab is a beast, the Raptor is a beast, the Savage Combatant is a beast, the Druid of the Claw is a beast, the Stranglethorn Tiger is a beast. There's a lot of beasts. And then also Jeweled Scarab can make more beasts for you, so keep that in mind. The Stranglethorn Tiger, this is kind of a wonky card. It's like, why do you have that in here? There's a huge amount of 5-drops in the deck, and it's because it's a really nice card to kind of finish off the game. It can't be targeted when it's invisible. It leaves even if your opponent uses Flame Strike, and it's kind of a card that can sit in stealth for 1 turn, and your opponent's worried about playing a card because it makes favorable trades versus most cards like Sledge Belcher, Azure Drakes. All of those cards are kind of like, in death range when they're, Stranglethorn Tigers on the field. So your opponent's definitely going to, play a little bit differently when they have that out. The Trueheart, we've kind of been over why that's good. The Ancient of Lore and the Ancient of War, these are 2 cards that definitely can be kind of swapped around based on how you're doing and what you're going against. Again, if you're playing against a lot of decks that seem to being able to silence your Ancient of War, like a Paladin using Iron Beak, or you're going against a lot of Shamans using Earthshock on your Ancient of War, change out the Ancient of Wars with maybe 1 more Ancient of Lore, and then throw in, like I mentioned before, I think I said a taunt or something, or an earlier taunt that may not, be useless if it gets Earth Shocked. And then, of course, Dr. Boom for the... you can't really... Even in a Beast deck, Dr. Boom is being played, and that's because the guy's just broken. Again, if you don't have Dr. Boom, aim for him to be one of the first legendaries you craft if you're a newer player, and if you're an experienced player, obviously you already have Dr. Boom. So with that said, hopefully you've enjoyed the deck guide, you've learned something, and if you have any comments, concerns, or questions, feel free to leave that in the comment section below. With all of this said, guys, I need a drink of water. I'm Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.